Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I've got the AGM H5 Pro mobile smartphone. Now this is a rugged smartphone here. You got some of the specs on the side. It has a 6.52 inch 1600 by 720 IPS screen. Or actually, I'm not even sure if it's IPS, but wow, that's kind of a low resolution, especially for today's day and age. Android 12, 48 megapixel main camera, a 2M macro camera, as well as a 20M infrared camera, which we'll all check out in a little bit. On the bottom it shows that it has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and then really nothing else around the box here. Inside the box you've got, it seems like this is all the booklets and manuals here. Oh, and some stickers from AGM. Neat. Then there's the smartphone itself, the rugged smartphone. Wow, this is a lot thicker and bigger than I thought it would be. There's a wall outlet, a USB-C cable. These are a couple of extra pads in case if, for whatever reason, it breaks off of the phone here that's on the bottom. There is the SIM pin to remove this tray from the top. It's a little complicated for the first few tries, but it's not that bad afterwards. This tray can take in a micro SD card as well as 2 nano SIMs. This thing is way thicker than expected. I can't believe how thick this is. What's interesting is that on top, the speaker's protruding, not the cameras. When you lay it flat on the table, that's the first thing to get hit, and it's also wobbly, so it's not going to be straightforward. But I guess if you keep it down, it's not really going to do much. It doesn't wobble too much from the bottom. From the top, you can definitely see it a little bit. And the cameras are on the side, as well as the infrared sensors, fingerprint underneath. And then there is something on the bottom where you can connect a desk charging dock that they sell separately, and it acts like a good kickstand / charger, 2-in-1. On the bottom, you surprisingly have a 3.5mm headphone jack next to the USB-C charging port. To the right are the power button and volume keys that are textured, which is going to be a little harder to kind of differentiate. On the top there's a microphone, and then on the left side is your customizable button along with the SIM tray on top. The camera quality is interesting to say the least. I'm not going to say it's terrible because in some areas like the front camera, it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Not that I'd take selfies pretty often with this, but it seems decent enough for a call. The rear camera is a little disappointing. There's really nothing special. Once in a while you might get a good picture in. The only other two things that I actually like are the zoom-ins. There's 4x zoom as well as a close-up. Except I did have some trouble with trying to find a good close-up match because it's a little too blurry usually. The camera quality, I'm going to have to look back at it, but so far it seems like it's kind of low. Like the quality isn't that good compared to taking pictures. Like pictures were a lot better. Here's what night vision mode looks like. There's actually no flash on there. I think it's the infrared light that's on there. And there is no light that's turned on. Everything is pitch dark in here. On video, the screen is going to look like it's like impossible to see, but it actually is quite viewable outdoors, so that's definitely a plus. It's one of the big features people are looking for when buying a rugged smartphone. A few other things would be little to no bloatware, near stock Android experience, as well as a good amount of storage space, which this does have out of the box. And the most absurdly useful feature on here is the speaker itself. Think about it, when you're working outdoors, especially in a construction spot and you want to listen to your music or something, you don't have your earbuds or headphones, this is the way to go. You're able to change the LED light to a couple different modes. And this will turn on when there's a call or if you're playing some type of music or video. Variety of earbuds for different scenarios, whether it be just listening to music, sleeping, or even super loud. The loudest speaker I've ever seen on a device. And this LED ring light is pretty cool. It also lights up when the phone rings too, like I mentioned. But yeah, the sound, that's probably the best part about this, is that although there is a bulge, it makes up for it with its sound because it gets super loud. It's not too distorted too when it gets really, really loud as well, so it's nice to consume media. One of the downsides to this is if you want to watch your favorite streaming platform like Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, etc., videos are going to be capped at 480p instead of Full HD. Not because of the screen resolution, but because this has a wideband level of L3. So the only place where you can actually watch videos at 1080p is YouTube. That's not the only thing. This also feels sluggish at times, just by browsing the web or even on YouTube itself. And the YouTube mini player, that's when things really start to slow down a little bit more. Granted, I thought there was a decent amount of RAM here, but I guess it can't handle it too well. And the Geekbench scores also came a little bit lower than expected. There was one area I was a little surprised in and even impressed, which was gaming. Playing Roblox, the game was pretty smooth. I didn't really notice too many issues. Yes, there were some hiccups here and there, but it didn't occur as often as I've seen it in some other devices. For Genshin Impact, I've got the graphics set to the lowest level here, and the game seems playable, although not completely smooth. Battery life was excellent on here. I had the brightness set to around above 70%. I think this is above 70 or 80%. And I only switched it up a little bit as it got darker. But basically, I had video playing in the background, like just for 7 hours and 25 minutes. And then I did talk to someone for about an hour, which we'll get to in a second. And I still have 32% left. So this means that this can last for 2 days on a single charge. Now, when it came to voice call, I actually had a problem here where I could hear the person fine, especially on speaker, because this speaker is actually so loud that I could hear the person perfectly fine. It was great. The best speaker to use even for calls. But the problem was he couldn't hear me. He actually mentioned that when I was on speaker, he couldn't hear me too well, and my voice was getting overshadowed by like some wind noise or some fuzz noise. I'm not sure if that's a defect here or if other people have noticed this problem. I'm going to double check on that. But that is a little concerning. But when I had it off speaker, he could hear me just fine. No problems there whatsoever. And I could hear him fine too. I just wish the speaker option worked well because, you know, like I mentioned before, the speaker works great. I mean, the sound is super loud, which I definitely like, and I prefer to keep it on speaker so I can hear the other person well, even when they're not talking so loud. It's definitely a big benefit, but if it's not usable like that, then that's really unfortunate and disappointing to see. So just a quick random note. I know I mentioned in the beginning that it wasn't a good sign that this had like a 720 screen, but I don't really notice it too much when I'm using this. It's really not a concern, to be honest. Not really a game changer if this was like 2560 by 1440. I mean, I probably would notice it if I had the two together, but right now I don't really notice the difference. The biggest thing this has going for it is the sound. Being viewable outdoors, and if you know you're not one to drop things, then this is something worth considering at the price. The rugged piece can protect you to a certain extent, and it's water resistant. But let me know your thoughts.